I have to take a drink every now and then or I get tongue-tied. Well, let's see. That house, the old Trabue home, is up on a hill above the Kentucky River. And when you approach it, you cross the river, cross it on a bridge, and at that moment when you go across, you look to the northeast and you see the house. It has a red tin roof, but it's brick. It's a pale, I guess it's a pale red, because I don't think they had white brick then. But anyway, it's a colonial type house, and it really looks pretty nice from a distance. When you get up close, it's a little run down. Well, anyway, we kidded Grandma Schlanker because just down the Kentucky River, not far at all, is a distillery. And we told her that's why her folks built there, because it was close to the distillery. Well, not far from the Trabue house is the old Humber home, and that is where some of my, where my, I guess it's my grandfather, my mother's father was raised, and where he lived, and he had quite a few relatives that lived around that area. And the first time I was there, I was 13 years old. I went with my mother and with my Aunt Winnie, and we drove down there, and we saw quite a few distant relatives, and they, of course, knew more about that place than we did. They weren't living there. They were living in Crab Orchard, Kentucky. That was a small town, and it was a resort town. There was a sort of a fairgrounds there, and they had horse races, and I don't know what all, but anyway, there were a bunch of that family, and then she called a Negro woman in to see us, and oh, she was so glad to see us. Her name was Humber. Her last name was Humber, and she said, "I'm always so glad to see some of my kinfolks." So anyway, it was interesting to see those homes where some of our ancestors lived and were brought up. And I loved Kentucky. I always said if I had my druthers, I would live in Kentucky. I don't know whether I would or not, but anyway, it's so beautiful. So many farms with white board fences and beautiful horses and beautiful old homes too. And Kentucky is just a beautiful place, and they lived south of Louisville, not Louisville, but Lexington. And Lexington is a wonderful, beautiful home. That's where the state university is. After Jane Trabue's husband died, she left that house, and why, I don't know. But she crossed the river by boat, and she took a few of the slaves. They were glad to go with her, and they went with her, and she crossed the Mississippi River and got to Frankfort, Missouri, which is below Hannibal. Why in the world she would go without a husband and leave that big two-story home and then settle in Frankfort, Missouri, I don't know. But anyway, she was buried there. And that's how that family branch got to Missouri.